Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Opinion Machine, the show where we talk about all things gaming. My name is Killjoy, and today we're going to talk about something called the Switch effect. It is a term that you may have heard come up from time to time, and it is basically what I can gather, it is basically when a video game that generally doesn't normally sell as well outperforms massively because of the Switch fan base, the fact that it seems like everything that's first party generally will sell a fairly decent amount of copies. And the reason why this is something I want to talk about now is because it's going to be really interesting to see this for 2021. You know, generally when people buy a Nintendo product, they buy it for Mario Kart, they buy it for the Zeldas, they buy it for the Animal Crossings. You know, there's very, very big titles. This year we have Metroid Dread, Advance Wars Reboot, and we also have WarioWare. And these are series that aren't exactly massive, like they're popular, but I wouldn't say they sell amazingly well. And it will be very interesting to see these games and how well they do because of the Switch effect. Now, just to give you guys some example, in front of me I have a list of like all the best-selling games, like top 40 best-selling games and stuff. We'll go down this and like kind of go over some of these things to show off just like how crazy some of these games have sold and like how well they've done. Obviously, some of these games, like most of this stuff is over 1 million at least. Let's take for example, Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle sold 2 million, which is a tactical role-playing game. I don't think that's a game that necessarily would appeal to everyone because turn-based tactics games aren't necessarily like they're a fun genre. They're not necessarily a popular genre. You know, I'm a big fan of Fire Emblem and the XCOM games, and obviously Advance Wars and stuff like that. I like turn-based games, but nobody like it's not a style of game that is very popular amongst, you know, compared to action adventure games or platform games, you know, things like that, first person games. It's a bit more of a niche genre. There's plenty of good tactical role-playing games out there, or tactical turn-based games. But, you know, I don't think anybody expected Mario and the Rabbids at the time when it came out to sell as well as it did. And 2 million copies was enough to get a sequel. We've got a sequel coming in Mario and Rabbids Sparks of Hope. And you can put that down to the fact this game has been on sale many times on the Switch, but also it is a very good game. It's a very solid game. You know, on top of that, we see something like Pikmin 3 Deluxe selling 2.4 million copies. 2.4 million copies, and like, you know, Pikmin again, another style of game that most people wouldn't play, a real-time strategy. 2 million copies. Now I don't know. I don't know if this is the best-selling Pikmin. I'm going to assume it is. Like, 2 million copies for a Pikmin game, I would say is pretty good. Because, again, it's not... You expect your Mario, you expect your Zelda games, Kirby probably, things like that to sell a lot better. You know, we move up this list, and we come to some interesting games here. So we're moving, this is considered, this is, like, say, the top 43 or top 40 lists. We get to, from 28 to 20, we get some very interesting things. We've got ARMS. ARMS is a game I love. I think Nintendo did a fantastic job of it. It was a brand new IP. Did 2.38 million, right? Almost 2.5, 2.5. You know, I don't expect that game to sell much more. It's a fighting game. It's a bit different, but still, that was for a new IP. You know, that's done fairly well, and I think ARMS is a game that has fantastic online. I think it plays really well. Again, maybe a bit more niche in like who it might appeal to, but fairly strong sales. And you can see this as it goes up. We see Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze hitting 2.65 million. You know, ideally that's a game that was ported from the Wii U. I think it did better than the Wii U version, but that's a game that, in my opinion, I wish it had more sales. Like Donkey Kong, I always think should sell better than it does, but still 2.65 million. Above that, we then have Fire Emblem Three Houses. Now, Fire Emblem, again, a tactics game, selling almost 3 million, 2.87 million. That's big numbers. You know, these franchises are, you know, to me, a franchise is obviously, if you hit 1 million, you've done extremely well. you hit 3 million, and you've got enough sales there to warrant a sequel easily. Like, all of these games, I don't know about ARMS unfortunately, but I imagine the rest of this stuff will do really well. Kirby got 2.93 million, so this is almost in the 3 million territory. And then when we go above that, and we do hit 3 million, we're seeing Mario Tennis Aces, we're seeing Paper Mario, the Origami King, and Clubhouse Games. What? What? Like, Clubhouse Games is a series that I would have expected to sell 3.414 million copies, which is insane for a game that is essentially a board game full of board games. And yes, the power of COVID and being stuck at home, like, massive, but obviously PG free, you know, like PG, age free. And up, very, very simple little travel game. I really liked it. I thought it was a fantastic collection of games. But seeing Mario Tennis Aces and Paper Mario as well there, you know, hitting 3 million, this is crazy numbers, in the sense that that's a sports game and basically like kind of a kind of RPG, you know. And then we see, after that, we see 1-2 Switch at 3.18 million. 1-2 Switch is a game that I think a lot of people would not consider a great game, but obviously it was it came out early. I think a lot of people picked it up. Probably gets bundled in with a lot of things. But you can see that these games are like these are not small numbers, right? When we get to like the top sort of going forward after this, we get to like top 10, it gets crazy. I do want to point out that number 19, the best selling game on Switch at number 19, is Among Us. 3.2 million. 20 million. Among Us has done incredibly well. And again, yes, the pandemic. You can say this about COVID having a massive effect on these sales. But that's Among Us. That's a very simple little indie game that has blown up, and I'm sure it's done really well on Steam and other consoles as well. But to see that in the top 20 on Switch is mind-blowing. And this is what I'm talking about when people say the Switch effect. These, like, normally I imagine Among Us would have done well, probably hit like 1 million copies. But we're seeing it get bigger and bigger and bigger, and it is a cheap game, to be fair. It's not an expensive game anyway. It's like £3, £4 here in the UK. And then we come into, like, from 18 onwards, we start to see some big numbers. Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity at 3.7 million, right? So then we get this, between this and the next one, it's a big jump. That is one of the best-selling Warriors games ever now, I believe. Like, I believe it's outsold most of the other Warrior. That's bonkers. Like, that goes to show, like, just the power of the Switch with this big install base, and like in all over the world, people either playing on their TVs or playing in handheld, like that hybrid nature of things. And bear in mind, a lot of these games, they're not the most powerful-looking games ever. They're, you know, they're done a lot of them are cartoony. You know, a lot of them are first party, or they're like using licenses of first party stuff. So, and now we come to the big jump from 17 upwards. Now we're at 5.4 million. So that's Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening. That's the remake. The remake of the Game Boy game did 5.49 million. Let that sink in, right? Now I know Zelda always sells well, but this is a remake of a Game Boy game that had controversy about its art style when it came out. 5.49 million. Alright, and it just gets crazier and crazier than that. Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury has sold, and bear in mind it came out this year, 5.59 million. Mental numbers. That is a fantastic game, Super Mario 3D World. It is outsold like the Wii U version, I think. And Bowser's Fury looks really fun. I haven't played it, I don't have this version. But that came out, what, last year? No, it came out this year. Came out in February. And these numbers are as of March the 31st. So that says a lot to me. On top of that, a game that also came out this year, 7 million copies. Monster Hunter Rise has sold 7 million copies. What? And it just gets crazier and crazier. And this, now going forward, this is exactly what I mean by the Switch effect. Super Mario Maker 2, 7.15 million. A game that not everyone is going to get into because it's about building and all that stuff, but that's crazy. Like, really crazy. That's a fantastic game. I love Super Mario Maker 2. The fact that it's all, you know, it's made 7 million copies, like, that's a franchise I hope that keeps going on, and like, it just goes up. Super Mario 3D All-Stars, a game that I did not like, I think it was poorly put together, sold 9 million copies, which Unfortunately, when you're making money like that on a collection of games, it doesn't matter how good or bad it is, people are buying it clearly. And they're going to do more stuff like it. And that, to me, was a very poor collection. It was, you know, and the whole limited run of it and stuff like that, very bizarre. But after that, Luigi's Mansion 3, 9.59 million. Now we're, you know, hitting that. Above that, Ring Fit Adventure, 10.11 million. This is what I mean. These franchises, these games that don't normally sell that well, that don't normally get to these numbers, like Luigi's Mansions, like Ring Fit. Above that is New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe. Right, Mario obviously sells. Right, you'd expect Mario to be probably 5 million plus every time a game comes out, generally speaking. But this is the power of the Switch. Now this is top 10 to top 1, right? So this is where things have gone a bit bonkers. Now, yes, there are games in here that are obviously sequels. In fact, pretty much all of these games going forward will be a sequel of some kind. But it just goes up and up and up, and you can see just how many copies. Now, to me, if a game sells sort of 3 million, that's like a big success worthy of a sequel. If it's selling like 9 to 10 million, like, it's a no-brainer, and then anything over that is just a no-brainer. Like, you just sell, you know, more. You just make more of those games. So, from number 10, we had New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe at 10.44 million. We then had Splatoon 2, a sequel to the first game, 12.21 million. Then we had Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee, right, at 13.28 million. Now that is a game that is very much aimed at kids, like most Pokemon games, but this is much simpler, much simpler than the other ones. It's a remake of Red and Blue as well. Massive numbers. We go then to Super Mario Party. I think one of the most surprising entries in this list. I don't think Mario Party has ever made these numbers at 14.79 million. I could be wrong. Like, to me, like, I'm assuming a lot of these entries in this list are the best examples, the games that have sold the best in their series. I specifically know about a couple of these games. Then we come to Super Mario Odyssey, look at that jump between Super Mario Party and Super Mario Odyssey, 20.83 million. I think it's been out longer anyway, but whoo boy, like, that's crazy. The fact that people are, it's just mind-blowing. When you get up to these numbers, it's just crazy. You know, that is a resounding success. That's like, you have to have it kind of game. Above that, Pokemon Sword and Shield at 21.10 million. Above that, Breath of the Wild at 22.28 million. Now, Breath of the Wild being a cross-generation game as well, so Breath of the Wild 2, or whatever it ends up being called, could end up outselling this because it's specific to the Switch. Who knows? I don't know how many of, I mean, yeah, it could be bonkers. But again, that was a game that had a huge attachment rate. Like, people were out, you know, just buying more copies of that than they were Switches. And so that's the 4th best game, and now we come to the 3 best-selling games on the Switch of all time. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate at 23.84 million. A game that's probably going to hit 25 million easily. That's a fighting game, and it's also the best-selling fighting game of all time, which is actually crazy. Now, Brawl, I believe, sold somewhere between 10 and 15 million. I want to say it's about 12 million, which I think up until this point was the best-selling one. And this has smashed it. Now, this was the best-selling game, or it's like became one of the best-selling games of that year, basically. And like, I'm a big Smash Bros fan, so I'd like seeing this get to that point is actually just insane to me. Like, crazy. And that, again, this is showing off the Switch effect. Animal Crossing at 32.63 million came at a time when people were stuck indoors. You can say everything you want about it. That game sold insanely well. Like, I don't think anyone expected it to hit those kind of numbers, you know. Animal Crossing is very cutesy. Animal Crossing is more of a casual game, but it has a very wide appeal. Nintendo got very lucky when they brought it out when they did. And, yeah, you know, it's just insane. And then at the top, we have Mario Kart 8 Deluxe at 35.39 million. If you don't know, Mario 8 Kart Deluxe, or Mario Kart 8, is a Wii U port that came out very early on in the Switch's life cycle and has continued to sell. And just the fact that it is the best-selling game on Switch is kind of mind-blowing for a game that it does have extra content, and a game that didn't get many updates, which is crazy. But, you know, Mario Kart always sells well. People buy Nintendo consoles for Mario Kart. That's like the one game they're like, yeah, Mario Kart, we gotta play that. Why I'm talking about all these games, why I'm looking at like these different jumps, is to me, Metroid and WarioWare and Advance Wars need to get around like, in my opinion, need to be looking at the 3 million mark, getting close to that for those games to be considered a success. Metroid is a game series that has always dabbled between, you know, kind of under 1 million to like about 2 million copies. You know, it's nothing to sniff at. If you sell a game for 1 million or 2 million copies, I would call that a success. But in this day and age, like, you know, like I said, looking at Fire Emblem and Kirby and stuff, they were around about the 2.8, 2.9 mil. You know, if Metroid manages to get around that, you know, that's huge for the franchise to see this game do it, because it means that Nintendo will put more time into making it. Same with Advance Wars. Like, I love Advance Wars. I'm starting to see that there's plenty of people played it when they had a Game Boy Advance. It's a franchise that's near and dear to my heart, but I really want it to sell well. You know, coming out in December is a risky strategy, but, you know, at least they've got something there. Like, I'm not expecting it to sell. I mean, like, if it makes like 1 million copies, I'll be shocked. You know, I don't know what the franchise has made overall, but like, I really hope that it does well enough. Like, if it hits 2 million copies, I'll be shocked. That's a game I really want to keep ties on. And WarioWare, I think, will make a decent amount of money. It's fun, it's silly, little micro games. But if all 3 of those games this year come out and hit like 3 million or above, that's going to be huge, and that will show the power of this point. This whole point of this video is the Switch effect and what it does to games that would not normally get the love and attention that I think some people would want them to. You know, like a great example is Luigi's Mansion 3 and Ring Fit Adventure. Like, they sold incredibly well. You know, one of those is a new IP, one of those is a sequel, but yeah, even Super Mario 3D All-Stars, you know, a collection of ROMs essentially. The Switch has a huge install base and is doing very, very well, and I think this year going forward, like, it'll be interesting to see, you know, what the casual fan base of these games is like. Are they going to pick up Metroid? Are they going to pick up WarioWare? Are they going to pick up Advance Wars? And all the games in between? Don't know, but I'm expecting these games to do well. I'm not expecting them to do like 10 million copies sold. I think that's a bit crazy. But I want to see these games hit between 3 to 5 million, and I think that would be really, really awesome for those franchises, because what it basically does is means that Nintendo will be like, oh, that sold well, people want to play that, cool, we'll look into making more games or finding, you know, third-party studios to make those games like Advance Wars, and same with Metroid Dread being made by Mercury Steam. And that's really exciting. That's really exciting, and so this year's super important. And if you are somebody thinking about these games, like, please, like, you know, this is the time to buy Metroid or Advance Wars or a WarioWare. Like, these franchises need a good boost. Like, WarioWare always seems to do okay because they keep making it, but Metroid and Advance Wars, we don't see enough of them. So, you know, fingers crossed we get something that's just super awesome, and we'll see the power of the Switch effect. So hopefully, you know, talking about it today, you guys, you know, if people are wondering what it is basically the power of making these franchises sell way better than they ever have before, basically. Anyway, that's going to do it for me today then. Thank you very much for watching, as always. If you like the video, hit the like button. If you want to see more content, then hit the subscribe button. Links for Facebook and Twitter will be down below in the description. And until next video, I will see you then.